Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like Mike Shildt, should awkwardly retire early. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Saborka.
Hey, Nate.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. Hambud, how you doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah, living life. I got nothing. Doing well, though.
Well, quick programming note. For the first time in 190 weeks, Hambone and I are both out of town at the same time. We've actually both been out of town a lot together this last year. Various bachelor parties. Of course, we both performed at the Riyadh Comedy Festival last weekend. But everything has worked out where we are we kept being available together, or at least one of us on a Wednesday to get the episode out. And this is the first time in almost 4 years.
It's 3.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. That we will both be gone during our normal recording schedule. But fear not, we considered a few options. My first option was to just download an episode of one of C70's podcasts and publish it on our feed, which,
Smart.
it's always, that's the ripcord sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to put something together and get it out on our normal schedule. It is not likely to be a full episode structured like our normal episode. So maybe that'll be a break for everyone. But we'll be back the following week. I think. You're going on a big trip. I, of course, am just going to do some reshoots on Ted Lasso season 3. So I don't know. We'll see how long that takes.
Of course.
But you're doing a whole thing. Do you care to share at least? I know you don't want to dox your exact location, but you're doing a whole thing. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I'm not worried about being doxxed. I'm fast. I'm basically Jason Bourne. So if you want to find me, come find me.
Come at me.
My wife and I and a dear friend of ours are going to the UK for 10 days. Our friend was born in the UK, so she's going to be our travel guide, sort of, and take us to some old haunts and eat some food and everything like that. But yeah, we're going to London, Liverpool, Dublin, and then we're driving around the Irish countryside for a few days, 4 or 5 days, something like that, staying in little fishing villages, that kind of stuff. I think we're going to meet some lambs, which I'm looking forward to. And we have a bunch of stuff planned. I've been talking.
That's the thing you're the most looking forward to, is meeting some lambs.
Honestly, it is. We found this place. It's €4, and you get to go to a little Irish farm and play with baby lambs. And
okay. I'm on board.
If that doesn't sound good to you, that's fine.
Great.
But it sounds great to me.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do some Beatles tourism. I just saw Paul McCartney at Coors Field, by the way, which was fantastic. I'm a pretty big Beatles fan, but Mary is a hardcore super fan. So we're gonna do some Beatlesy stuff. I've been chatting with our friend Akira in the Bird Scored about things to do and eat and drink, and he's given me some really good recommendations, and he's also told me that I need to try something called jellied eels. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard of jellied eels, yes, and I hope you report back.
He sent me a picture of it, and I'm a pretty adventurous eater. I think I'm going to try it, but after seeing the photo that he shared, it's
bad. It looks bad.
It is exactly what it sounds. I was like, this must be some candy or something like that, and they just call it jellied eels because it's fun, But no, it is chopped up eels that are cooked and then jellied, and you eat them in chunks. It looks.
How do you jelly something?
I guess I think you cook it down in a broth, and then you let that broth cool. And the bone marrow helps it solidify.
That makes sense.
I'm kind of making that up, but I think that's how it works.
Sure, great. perfect podcasting. I mean, that's half our show. We're just kind of making it up, and only the Bird Squad fact checks us, so it's okay.
So anyways,
which is expanded. It's normally just C70, but
Right.
of course, everyone's getting on board.
Yeah, I'm sure Akira will chime in if I got something wrong there. But
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, lots of those things. We are, there's a lot of other little things that I won't bore everybody with, but yes, do some history, do some eating, do some sightseeing, petting some lambs.
Sure.
Yeah.
All the British hits.
Yeah.
So I'm also a pretty big Beatles super fan. It's something me and your wife have bonded over in the past. How was Paul McCartney,
dude,
at Coors Field?
I could not believe how good he was. I think he's 82 years old.
Yeah, we're dipping into old man talk here, so we'll keep this short. But
he played for almost 3 hours. He played all the Beatles stuff you want to hear. He played a song by George, a song by John. He played some of his solo stuff. He played Wings stuff. He did this really amazing version of Band on the Run where he kind of like went in all these crazy places. And he sounded shockingly great. Like I said, he played forever. And it was a big show. I mean, everybody knows all the words. So being in a stadium with 50,000 people, when everybody's doing all the na-nas in Hey Jude was just like,
sure.
Honestly, Mary is a bigger Beatles fan than me. You're a bigger Beatles fan than me. But there was a point where he, by himself, played Blackbird, and I found myself getting choked up. Like I felt the chills. I had goose pimples all over. It was just, it was really, really great. If you have the opportunity to see him, I see him sooner than later. It was just really, really good.
I probably should. He's my favorite Beatle. And I'm always wrong about this, and I know I'm wrong about this, but I have this general, like, do I need to see these, like, 80-year-old guys? Like, is it going to satisfy something that I want, or is it just going to be, like, seeing, like, your uncle play you a music video,
This is probably the oldest musician I've ever seen, but, like, I've had a mixed bag. Like, I saw Bob Dylan 10 years ago or something like that. I mean, we walked out. It was unwatchable. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I've seen AC/DC. Amazing. They were fantastic. I think it's really dependent. I'm not seeing these legacy acts all the time.
Sure.
But I will say Paul McCartney, 80 years old or not, it was phenomenal. Just like, and obviously he doesn't sound like he's 28. It's different. It's. But like they one other highlight, and I'll stop talking about this. One other highlight was that they did a duet. They sang one of the songs from Let It Be, and they used John's vocals from the documentary that came out, the live vocals from the documentary, and then Paul was singing with those live vocals. So, and there was a big video of John. So they were kind of having this 60 years apart duet song live. And it was very cool. And then he's like, saying all these sweet things about John and how he misses his friend. And it was great.
Spooky season, if you ask me. Right. It's ghostly, quite ghoulish. I'm sure that was wonderful. I saw Devo recently. We talked about it on the show, and I had a great time. So I know I've been wrong in this. It is exactly what you said. It's hit or miss. Do you enjoy the experience of a concert at Coors Field?
So funny. This is the second concert I've seen at Coors Field. The other one I saw was Green Day. Both of them were awesome. I used to I was talking to Mary about this. I used to kind of have I used to like these larger scale concerts. I was like, oh, why would you go to? There's no intimacy, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a different thing. And it's just like, it's an absolute spectacle. And there's fireworks and pyro and it's just madness. So I think as long as you're not expecting to have like it to be one thing, it's just this big, bombastic, over the top craziness, then you're going to have a great time. And Coors Field, it's fun to be at the ballpark in October in Denver, which, it's a hard thing to make happen.
That's a rare occurrence. Are you getting ballpark food while you're at these concerts? Are you out there in the pit trying to eat helmet nachos and people are singing When I'm 64?
They have all of that stuff. It's all open. Yeah, even the ushers and everything like that, they're in full Rockies gear. So, if you close your eyes and your ears, once you enter the stadium, you feel like you're at a Rockies game.
Yeah, if you just close your eyes, your ears, don't smell anything or touch anything, then you could be anywhere. It sounds great.
Yeah, you get it.
All right. Well, have a good time on your big trip, and we'll be back the following week, and we'll hear about your jellied eels experience. I'm pretty sure you've committed to it at this point. Like, you got to take a bite at least.
Well, my
so
thought is like
we'll,
a jellied eel can't be that much worse than a fried bull testicle, and that's probably the grossest thing.
What
I've
a
eaten.
sentence!
Am I right?
I would think conceptually, yes. Texture wise, I don't know.
Yeah.
I imagine the jellied eel that's a squishy, slimy kind of thing. But I don't know.
My personal beliefs about this is that eels are alien creatures, right? They're not from Earth. Right. So the ability to eat an alien creature is exciting.
Powerful. Yeah.
So maybe I'll gain some new powers. I don't know. Maybe that's how the British were able to, conquer half the world.
Oh, shit. That might be. But has anyone fully tested that theory? Probably not. And it's a good theory that deserves testing.
I know that the jellied eels are losing popularity, so it would go in line with, their fall of global domination.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Well, the candy segment from last week was a unequivocal hit, a bona fide success for the podcast. And so maybe we have you eat some jellied eels on the show. Mail me a cardboard box of jellied eels.
I'll send you this photo that Akira sent me. It is.
I was looking at it while you were talking, and it looks very British. I guess when you think of British food, it's kind of the image that comes to mind. Just a mash of pale.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the Cardinals. How about now that we've all grossed ourselves out? We're still here in the slowest time of the year for an eliminated baseball team. Teams are actually not allowed to even make announcements. Although, of course, the Cardinals, which we'll talk about here like a little bit, had a rare exception a couple years ago that is coming back into the news. But not a lot coming from the Cardinals, but of course, still a little bit and some things to talk about. So. Hambone, do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, let's talk about Derrick Goold. Reported in a lengthy chat with readers that he does on the Post-Dispatch website. No specific names are mentioned yet. Youngsters Jimmy Crooks and Leonardo Bernal, Ivan Herrera, Pedro Pagés, Joel Pozo are all getting phone calls. Or it seems very likely that Chaim Bloom is going to move from that. And sorry, to add more detail, it seems unlikely that Jimmy Crooks and Bernal will be moved, but Herrera, Pagés, and Pozo have all already come up in conversations. We talked about this last week. I think it makes a lot of sense to move some catchers. I don't love the idea of moving Ivan Herrera. That being said, you're trying to get young. He doesn't really have a position. If you can go out and get somebody exciting, prospect for prospect type trade, then obviously you have to entertain that. But what I think is the most interesting thing is that Crooks and Bernal are kind of being reported by Derrick Goold as not untouchable, but the two that are
the price is high.
The price is extremely high. And we were having an interesting debate in the Bird Scored about this earlier this week about who do you trade, who do you move on. I know some people think Pagés is a perfect fit. I don't know if anybody was really stumping for Pozo. I think we all kind of know what Pozo is, just like a weird hitter and a fine catcher. But the Pagés, Herrera, Crooks conversation, I think, is complex, and I think it's hard to decide. But I think what it really comes down to is obviously the industry thinks the world of Jimmy Crooks and his defense behind the plate. The Cardinals seem to agree with that. The reporting seems to agree with that. And while he had not a stellar showing in what is really just a cup of coffee in the big leagues this year, I don't think no one has changed their opinion on Jimmy Crooks and his future viability as a big league catcher and a defensive ace. Oh, yeah. He only had 15 games played. It feels like more than that because those last few weeks of baseball felt like an eternity. But it was only 15 games played, and we're looking at 46 plate appearances. So I would say very confidently you can surmise absolutely nothing about his offensive floor or ceiling from that cup of coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And catchers are often the slowest to develop their bat at the major league level because they have so much other shit to do.
Right.
So, I think, two surprising things from there, but the one that is the largest is that Ivan Herrera is on the block, so to speak. But if you really think about it, what it comes off to me is rather that the Bloom and co are saying everybody's on the block, which is how it should be. We are huge fans of Ivan Herrera on this show and see him as a, fitting in as a cornerstone of this team for years to come. But there are some obvious, signs of, him not being a perfect fit for the team right now, which is the lack of a position when you have a lot of guys that could slot in at the position that he does play and maybe doesn't play exceptionally, which is part of why I was very for them trying him out in left field. If he can be a viable outfielder, even league average, great. Now, there you go. We've got our long-term spot for a potentially, seemingly elite bat, right? Like, we're pretty convinced he plays at the major league level and is a minimum above average, if not more. But if he truly is just a catcher / potential first baseman DH, when you're looking at your trade assets and you're really trying to maximize value of this team, moving a Herrera might make a lot of sense, as painful as that would be. So it's a little surprising there to see him listed there at first. But again, I think it does make sense to at least field offers on him. And then secondly, I was a little surprised to see Crooks considered to be untouchable, even though we both basically lobbied for him to be a starter or the primary timeshare with Herrera next year. I still would have thought they would, be a little more open to shopping him. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it does answer the main point of our discussion last week is Chaim Bloom. What is Chaim Bloom going to do, or is Chaim Bloom going to do anything with this depth at the Cardinal organization? And it certainly seems like he is intending to.
Right.
Now, will he pull it off? What will it look like, etc.? We have obviously no idea. But the fact that one of the first reports coming out from the team is here's a status of our 5 catchers, tells you this is a priority for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's good and interesting.
Yeah.
And I am excited by what they could get from something like Ivan Herrera. But it does feel a little bit of that like Peter Griffin joke, like you can take a boat or what's behind the door. I'll take what's behind the door. It could be anything, even a boat, And so I worry about trading like a young high-end hitter for someone else who might hopefully one day become a young high-end hitter, or, if it's traded for comparable pitching, then that's a different discussion.
Right. Well, and it's the thing, it's the position of the lack of position that Ivan Herrera,
right.
That's the whole problem, right? Like,
of course.
If like maybe he's a first baseman going forward, but the Cardinals don't really have room for a first baseman. And then you're making the choice of, do we want Wilson Contreras, who's probably on his way out, one of the youngsters? Do we want to move Jordan Walker to first base? Is Alec Burleson supposed to be a first baseman? Are those guys going to be on the team long term? And you really, like, if you're talking about moving a 25-year-old guy to first base because he has no other position, it's just not an ideal situation.
Right.
So it's very curious. I would imagine his trade value is pretty high just because of the hit tool alone, and teams will feel like they can. Well, like the whole thing is okay. William Contreras was not a good defensive catcher. Great hitter, right? The Brewers grab him, make him a great defensive catcher. He keeps the hit tool. Can't we do that with Ivan Herrera?
Yeah. Well, that's
I'm
kind
not saying
of
everybody is William Contreras, but like, I don't know.
I know. Well, and that was kind of what I was getting at too with the like, there's a lot of value in trading Ivan Herrera because of the value he has and what he could get you back. But at what point is it not make sense just to have that value on your team? You know, unless it is a like for like a, young MLB level, let's say starter who has maybe just come off of an elite year at the MLB level, then it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And most teams are not trading that sort of thing. So you're probably trading him for prospects or, I don't know, something like that, right? And so then you're trading a piece for lottery tickets, and that doesn't make any sense when he is your lottery ticket that struck gold,
Right.
But there might be a team, I know we keep talking about them, and they are potentially on their way to a World Series. But you look at the Mariners, who have just an excess of pitching and always need more hitting. Maybe it does make sense for them to center something around, 4 years of control or 5 years of control for Ivan Herrera is the piece that they need to move one of their young starters, or the Marlins and all of their starters. Getting a piece like Ivan Herrera is the right thing that will finally get them to move one of their cost-controlled young starters.
Right.
In which case, kind of have to be for it, because if we feel like Crooks is good and we feel like Bernal is maybe ready by 27, then there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think so. I feel pretty confident that like Joel Pozo's trade value or a future with the team is like kind of a who cares, like a bit of a nothing.
Yeah.
Like if he is your fourth catcher or third catcher that is spending time in AAA and comes up if and when somebody's injured or not performing, that's great. If he's traded, if he's DFA'd, whatever it is, it's it's kind of fine. And I don't think he's not going to move the needle, period. What I do think is really interesting is what does the industry think of Pedro Pagés? He had 104 games as a catcher this year, almost 400 at-bats. He was the 7th most valuable defensive catcher in all of baseball, which, by the way, Patrick Bailey is the best defensive catcher in baseball, and it's not even close. It's kind of amazing how far and away he is from everybody else.
Yeah. He's good.
On the defensive side, he's a fine hitter. And then you look at Pedro Pagés, just FWAR overall. And again, this is for primary catchers. And I'm only looking at games played as a catcher. So like Cal Raleigh's only got 120 games because he DH'd a lot and, so on and so forth. But he is the 21st most valuable catcher in baseball overall from that position, not as a player in total. So like there's value here. He's obviously a better defender than he is anything else. He is essentially he is a top 21 catcher in baseball. He is young. He is cost controlled. But like you look at the names around him and it's like he's competing with the likes of Bo Naylor, who I guess Bo Naylor could be exciting, but Danny Jansen, who's been traded many times, Victor Caratini accrued the same amount of WAR in half the games this year from the catcher position. Kyle Teal, who could be a guy. His Pedro Pagés' rate stats are not great. I don't believe he's going to be a great hitter, but the defense is there. The vibes are there. Like, are people knocking down the Cardinals' door? Are they blowing up Heimblum's phone to get access to Pedro Pagés, or is it we move him to make space for Crooks / Bernal / Herrera?
Yeah, I think it is part of the argument for keeping Pagés is that you don't normally trade for a guy like this when you could just go to the market and sign a Caratini or any other number of low to mid 30s catchers who are going to come in and catch a good, call a good game, be the veteran presence on the bench, the kind of thing that we've all grown accustomed to as the sort of backup or timeshare catcher that the whole league is populated with. So why go and potentially have to move young assets when there's those sorts of guys available?
Right.
And so then that, if you are trading for Pagés, then you're probably not trying to give up too much value for him, because you could go and replace it elsewhere. You might have a guy somewhere in the minors that isn't going to be as good as Pagés, but again, is free compared to Pagés. And so then it essentially means Pagés is most valuable for the team that he's on, right? And he was fine this year, and you could certainly do a lot worse than Pedro Pagés. And so for a team that's in flux, that is rebuilding, all of that, like, it can be good to have some of that consistency and know that at least from the catcher position, with all what will probably be a bunch of young pitchers, like, it's good to have that guy who is comfortable, is going to do well from it, make your pitchers look better, that sort of thing, and just kind of be there until he's not, because one of the higher end guys overtakes and he's, maybe traded, maybe released and signs a deal with someone else. Like, he'll be at the major league level.
Oh, I feel like he'll be at the major league level for another 10 years.
Yeah, well, like a Caratini. Well, Caratini has had an interesting career, but I made this comparison last week, and you were correct in pushing back on it. But Andrew Kisner is still out there. You know what I mean? So these guys can last around for a long time. My personal take on it is the same as what I shared last week, is that the team should be chasing upside with every single player that they have right now. Every single at bat, every single position should be about finding the next high end player or above league average to highly above league average. And while Pagés is going to be consistent and fine, he is almost certainly not going to be that. Yeah. His StatCast page is rough. Bottom 1% expected weighted on base average, things like that, just in the dumpster. And so while, you try not to sink a guy for one season, the eye test matches the underlying, in my opinion, on a guy like him. And so to me, why give time to him if you already know you are planning on replacing him? And I'd rather those at-bats go exclusively to Crooks or timeshare with Herrera, or maybe we just decide to push the envelope on Bernal, who is played above his age level for a while now. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but that to me is more interesting than just rolling out Pedro Pagés.
Well, if next year is another find out development, whatever the hell year, pushing a guy like Bernal and moving away from these guys that you are not sold on does make sense. I don't know how catchers are so weird, because Adley Rutschman, who is one of the most highly touted catchers of our lifetime, is from a prospect standpoint. They let him cook in the minors till he was 24, 25. And then, it worked, and then it didn't work, and he might be injured, or the Orioles might be cursed or whatever. And then you have somebody like Francisco Alvarez, who comes up when he's 20, 21, and kind of mashes and then kind of regresses. It's catchers are very weird. I don't know if there's a universal way to kind of handle them. I'm hoping that Chaim Bloom and the new Brain Trust have a focused approach and are know what to look for and what to build on. There's also conversations of Yadi Molina being back in the clubhouse quite a bit next year. So I don't know if that's the case. Do you want to have Bernal up, hanging out with Yadi every day, picking his brain, maybe starting once or twice a week, but just using it as a true development, Yadi pouring into him and Crooks and Herrera or whoever your three, we have to have three catchers, whoever your three catchers are.
Minimum. I think minimum 4 or 5, but you're right. Yeah. True minimum is 3, right? But the Cardinal way is 4 or 5, if not 6.
Certainly seems that way.
But yeah, I think this will ultimately come down net. This is going to come down to probably whatever the best offer is going to help make this decision. If they can find a team that is overvaluing one of these guys, or if they have a particular target in mind with that another team has, and that other team likes Crooks more than someone else, or vice versa, then that will dictate it. But I doubt, and they're already saying this. They're not going in saying we are trading this guy and keeping this guy. Be damned anything else. That's what's happening.
Would you
But
try working out Ivan Herrera at third base?
ooh, hey buddy, this winter go and join your local softball league and spend it at third base, and see how you feel. Sure, I guess my assumption is if they were having such concerns with him at anywhere other than catcher, and they were having concerns about him at catcher, going in and doing one of the more premium defensive positions seems unlikely, but I guess like the quick hands of a catcher would translate maybe best to third base.
He's got the arm. He's used to playing on the dirt. I don't know. But the problem is that we have Arenado and Gorman and JJ and other, but hopefully throughout this offseason or the next 12 months, these things get solved. And again, maybe Ivan Herrera won't be here, but I wonder if his skills would translate to that. And I do think that him and going and playing pickup softball is probably all the preparation he needs for a transition to Major League third base.
Just see how you're feeling out there.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Why don't you just go to a field and stand in that space and just see how that feels?
Do some diving around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I'm also announcing that I'm the new field director for the St. Louis Cardinals. Directing where everyone should stand on the field. That's what I'm doing.
That is valuable. You need that.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows where you should stand on the field, it's you.
It's me.
It's me.
I'm always, it's me. It's Ben who's going to move us to the next section. So we have a bunch of arbitration eligible players. How do you want to do this, Hambone? I think there's some interesting decisions in here, but I don't know if we need to go through everybody. But you want to run us down the list, and we can sort of go along the line and see where the conversation starts.
Let's say, and we're kind of framing this in a conversation of, are they going to pick up the option or not? I think that we can say Matthew Liberatore, obviously they're picking that up. Alec Burleson, obviously they're picking that up. Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, Jojo Romero. All of those they're picking up for sure. Lars Nootbaar and Brendan are going to be projected to make about $5 million. That's a slam dunk all day. No need to discuss that. But the names...
I'm going to push you a little bit on that real quick. Obviously, I agree with Brendan Donovan. Nootbaar, bad year, coming off of another average year. Almost $6 million. We know the ceiling. Do you think they're not even thinking about it and just picking it up regardless? Just snap call?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think, I don't want to be the guy that only talks about underlying metrics when a guy continues to misbehave. But the underlying metrics, Nate,
behave.
It's just the average exit velo, the hard hit percentage, the bat speed, his chase percentage, his whiff percentage, his walk percentage. All of those things are skills that most of the time translate to players being successful. Maybe he, for whatever reason, things clustered poorly for him this year, but all of those numbers are still way above average. I still think he's a decent outfielder, although he did take a step back there. But I think that just based on those numbers, whether he's a Cardinal next year or not, you absolutely have to pull the trigger. It's projected to be $5.7 million next year. Absolutely. I mean, if he is worth one WAR, that's surplus value, and I think I would be absolutely stunned if he can't accrue a couple of WAR next year.
We said that going into this year.
He
did 0.8 over 5 183 plate appearances.
Yeah.
So he was a pretty below average Major League Baseball player in 2025. That said, and I think to back up your point, it wasn't that long ago as 2023 when he put up 3.1 F WAR. So he has done it at the major league level. And I don't know what the current like dollar per WAR math is. I haven't actually seen it for a little while, but I probably around 9 or 10 million per WAR is where we're at now, with maybe even more with some of the contracts from last offseason. So 5.7 is certainly cheap. I was just thinking through your team rebuilding. You're trying to make selections on who's actually going to be a part of the team next year. And you got this guy that has been underperforming for 2 years straight, and the price is going up. Do you maybe make a tough choice with him? I think you're right. They pick it up, but I do wonder if he'll be a part of the team next year, which is a different question.
Yeah, I think obviously he's been disappointing and maybe doesn't make sense on this team, and maybe he's not as athletic as we thought he was, and maybe the power isn't ever going to actually be tapped into, but he does enough of the things at a above average to elite level that good hitters tend to do, that you just have to keep it going. I think there's no other option. I don't think it's the sexiest option. I'm not like sitting here being like, I can no longer sit here and stump for Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago I was saying that you can't trade Lars Nootbaar because there is no way that the rest of the league values him at what I think his potential is. And, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I will be wrong. Maybe there's who's the guy for the Phillies, the German guy for the Phillies. He's a StatCast, Max Kepler.
Bohm. Oh, Kepler.
Max Kepler hits the shit out of the ball, has a good eye, can't for his life keep hitting. He hits like 215 every year with, and the power is never there like you think it would, but it always, if you look under the hood, it always looks good. Maybe he is just one of these guys that is going to underperform metrics, and I don't know why that is exactly, but maybe he's just one of those guys.
Yeah. Okay, so I agree with you though. It's certainly being picked up. There's a number of guys on here that I think you're then putting in the bucket of maybe not so certain. So let's go down that list.
Let's start with, I think, the spiciest take, I guess. Let's start with Andre Pallante.
Yeah.
Who had a very rough season. He's only at 3 years of service time, so he'll go into ARB next year, and he's projected to make $3.5 million. Now, I think a lot of people would say, well, you have to, because, well, Ben, where the hell else are you getting the innings from? And I think that is a very fine argument, and I'm not sure if I have an argument against that. But you can just let him go for free. He can go get picked up by another team. I'm kind of at the point of watching Pallante last year of believing that even Mr. or Mrs. pull your name out of a hat guy in the Cardinals minor league system or on the free agency wire is more beneficial to the team than what we witnessed. I mean, really over the past, well, yeah, I guess we'll just pick on him last year, over 162 innings, 31 starts, and his poor performance throughout the year, putting up 0.7 F WAR.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I'll say, counterpoint, 162.2 innings at a 4.16 XFIP, which would, less innings, but outperform guys like Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn from years past. And at $3 million, that is likely still a value. I personally don't want to see him in the rotation anymore. But there is, as it stands right now, you do need guys there. And I do wonder if we converted him to a long man or a late inning reliever, what does that look like with his spin, with what he can do? Does it like we haven't fully tested Palante at the different roles as a pitcher, and maybe he could be a good reliever. And is it worth to dump him before we know that answer?
Yeah. I do think the guy's got arm talent and a weird delivery, and that alone can keep a career alive for a while. He did not have a plus pitch last year. If you're looking at the movement metrics, the location metrics, all that stuff, he did not have a single pitch that was even average last year.
Which is not the underlying situation that you normally think converts to reliever very well. You go, oh, they've got that one really good pitch, so let's just have them throw that 14 times in an inning, and then get them out of there before people catch up.
Yeah, did you see Andres Munoz? I think he threw 14 sliders in a row in that playoff game the other day.
That guy,
he's good. But I could see Andre Palante going to, name your favorite pitching lab and being like, okay, I need to figure out a changeup, or I need to figure out a whatever it is, and do some pitch design. And because he has arm talent, and because his delivery is funky, figuring that out and being a good one pitch pitcher. If you pump, let's say he develops a good changeup. If you pump that and then a 98 mile an hour sinker, I bet you that plays pretty well. Out of the bullpen.
I've been saying he should go do a splitter. It's the pitch everyone's doing.
Yeah.
Like go learn a splitter. He spins it every other way. Why can't he do it that way? And see what you got. But I think they pick it up.
I think they do too.
But I don't think he'll be. I can't imagine that their plan is for him to be a starting pitcher in 2026.
Yeah. Nolan Gorman. I don't really think they're not going to pick this up. I think it would be silly, but Nolan Gorman also hitting our projected to make $2.9 million next year. I think that's like 99% chance they're going to pick that up. Will he be a Cardinal next year? I don't know, but $3 million for a young former top prospect, probably.
Yeah, just led the team in walk rate. But that's about the only thing that went really well.
Yeah.
But that was one of the indicators that we wanted to see out of him as growth at the major league level. It came at the price of basically everything else. And if we still have Arenado, which we probably won't, but if we do, he doesn't have a position. And even if they don't have Arenado, it might be JJ Weatherholt over there.
Right.
So he still doesn't have a position. And unlike Nootbaar, he wasn't even positive. He didn't provide any value in 2025. He was negative at WAR.
God.
So rough.
Yeah.
Bow wow. I don't know. I could see this one. I think they're going to pick it up too. I bet they're not done with Gorman. And I'd like to think there's some team out there that would like, all right, we'll give you something for it. We'll take the swing on him, or he's part of a package deal, that sort of thing. But this is now 2 years straight of basically nothing at the major league level, if not negative. So this we're at the bottom here with Gorman.
We have really, it reminds me a lot of our friend Dylan Carlson. It just, the light has gone out. It was so high for a while. He was number one prospect in the system for a while. I can think of, Dylan Carlson had a 60 future value rating from Fangraphs at one point, and is now like the fifth outfielder for a crappy Orioles team.
Yeah.
But baseball is hard.
It's rough.
All right, two other names that are worth bringing up, both in the bullpen. John King will be, his projected salary be $2.1 million. And Jorge Alcala, who came in at the last minute for the Cardinals, he'll be in his final year of ARB. He's also scheduled to make $2.1 million. We'll start with my favorite player, John King. John King had a pretty bad year. He threw 48 innings in 51 games. He struck out almost nobody, had an ERA of 4.66, had an FIP of 5, and accrued negative .4 WAR on the season. I think that I'll be very surprised if this gets picked up. I think that even if you're a team that's not trying to be competitive next year, you can find a more interesting left-handed arm for the bullpen, either in your system or on free agency or in a trade or somewhere. I mean, Drew Rom would be more exciting out of the bullpen because it's something new and interesting, as opposed to John King. So I see absolutely no way this is picked up. It would make very little sense to me if it was. Yeah, full stop. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that this team has been able to do successfully for years now is create good bullpen arms. You got to have lefties, and they've held on to John King over and over, but he continued to lose leverage and continue to underperform. And at this point, what is the actual value of having him on the team? And I would be surprised if they pick this up.
He had a almost 22% home run fly ball ratio this year.
Is that good?
That is not good, my friend, especially for a guy that throws a sinker. That is,
that sinker didn't sunk.
That's pretty bad. And then Alcala, who, I don't know. I don't know if I have strong opinions on this guy. I think he has a much more talented arm than our friend John King. Can you find 100 guys like this, throughout any offseason, and bring them in to see what they got? I suppose so. He didn't perform particularly well for the Cardinals. He did only play 15 games, 14 and a third innings. He had a decent strikeout to walk ratio. He got beat up a bit. 19% home run fly ball ratio, not great. Not a big ground ball guy. I think for that money, you could probably spend that a little more wisely, unless there's something about his spin or velo or there's some other little thing that they are keyed into that I'm just not considering right now.
Yeah, there was certainly something that got him to the team, right? Because he was not performing particularly well with Minnesota, right. And then he comes over to the Cardinals.
I'm looking back at his pitching, his pitch metrics right now, and I think we talked about this when they acquired him. He developed a curveball this year that has all the good spin rates and velo and all that stuff. So maybe it is just that curveball that they wanted to get their eyes on.
Well, and so that was going to be my point, basically, is like the question will be, did the Cardinals see what they were hoping to see out of him when they brought him over in the first place?
Right.
Because there's no question that the season line is pretty bad. And I think you're right. Even though it's not that much money from a MLB sense, you probably still use that a little better somewhere else. But even despite the surface metrics not resulting in the outcomes that they were hoping for, if they did see what they were looking for when they brought him over in the first place, that's cheap enough where you might say, all right, let's run it back a little bit longer and see. We brought him over for a reason. 15 innings is not that much. Let's see it for a longer run and see what we've got.
If you can get this guy to walk less people, I think it's pretty easy to see 97.5 average fastball velocity, pretty decent slider, and a really good rating curveball. It's easy to see this guy can be, adjustment here, adjustment there. Maybe there's something. But yeah, I don't feel strongly, I guess, either way.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the story of the day, Hambone.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah, we probably should have done this at the top of the show, but whatever. It's a good show. So Mike Shildt unexpectedly retires.
Mm-hmm.
Saying he's retiring as the Padres manager.
Yeah. Which
I'm a little unclear as if he's just retiring from baseball or he just didn't want to say the word "I'm quitting." I think
it seems from what I've read and gathered and speculated that he is retiring from anything that's on field.
Yeah. I'm shocked at most everyone was pretty surprised by this. The Padres have been a good team, and by most accounts, he was doing a pretty good job. Like our perception on it, at least mine was, you can tell me if you felt otherwise, was that he was managing a young, exciting team pretty well. They have obviously not had the postseason success that they had hoped for, but the team has played well, represented itself well, had a good regular season, almost, took down the Dodgers, all of that. Like you'd probably disappointed if you're a Padres fan, but zooming out, like very successful team right now. And all of a sudden, once again, during a postseason, the Mike Shildt is no longer the manager of a team. This one, of course, his own. I mentioned earlier in the episode, but it was the Cardinals who had to request special permission from MLB to announce the firing of Mike Shildt a few years ago because they just had to get it done. And for once, our show, has had a couple days of news announcements and reporting on this before we got to talk about it. So we actually have a little bit more context now. And frankly, it's shed a lot of light on Mike Shildt and maybe some of his time with the St. Louis Cardinals. Have you read through some of these articles?
It's very interesting, Nate, what they're saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really comes down to, some people are calling him a bully. Some people are calling him abrasive. Some people are calling him overly demanding. There was even reports of him condescending to his bosses, to the people above him, him being not receptive to pushback, him less tenured coaches on his bench getting treated like they are less than. Really
people
lot.
Getting into fights almost over him and his direction.
I think I was reading an article in The Athletic today that was saying that a lot of people, or the reason a lot of people were even only sticking around is because there are so few baseball jobs. And, hey, I might be kind of miserable, but I'm a major league coach and there's not very many of us, so I'm going to stick around. Just kind of like an unwavering, angry hair trigger was used, I think, in a few of the reports.
Yeah.
But pretty damning from a personal standpoint for old Shilty.
Yeah, it's a pretty fundamental update to the Mike Shildt story, because when he was fired by the Cardinals, I remembered that, Mozeliak came out and said, we are not going to share the reason why this happened. Mike Shildt is free to share what we shared with him and say anything that he wants to, but we're going to keep it private.
Yeah.
And at the time, there was a lot of different takes, and you still hear some of these takes even up to probably until about 2 days ago, where people were saying it was all maniacal Mozeliak control, that Shildt would not get in line with the Cardinals' way of building a team, and Shildt was fighting for the everyman, and DeWitt and Mozeliak were fighting for like corporate overlord, like min-maxing dollars and all that, and Schilt's the guy on the ground fighting the tyranny of the ownership and all that. A lot of people were very anti the firing, and it's understandable.
He was
successful.
The
success that Mike Shildt had, and our propensity to dislike John Mozeliak, Bill DeWitt, and all of this era of St. Louis Cardinals. How do you fire the guy that just took us to the playoffs?
Right.
And look at him now. He's over on the Padres. He's doing well. But the Cardinals had chosen to keep their mouths shut about it, though there had been some reporting. I know Bernie Miklasz had done some journalism around this, more implying, but at times almost outright saying that Shildt did not have a good reputation within the organization, within the team itself.
Right.
People did not like him. But it is what it is, and it's been kind of an open question as to the true nature of the firing. And now we learn all of this. And it certainly seems pretty clear to me. It seems like the Padres are not keeping as tight a lip as the Cardinals organization
not at all
chose to. And it makes me wonder if Mozeliak and crew hadn't probably mandated some degree of privacy for Mike Shildt, which is a respectful, unnecessary.
He grew up in the Cardinal system. I would imagine,
we can appreciate that, and they're the ones who hired him in the first place. So they raised him. And so you don't want to come out and blast the guy that you raised, put in the position, and then fired. So it was respectful, and I think we can all appreciate that decision making. But now the Padres, who have no reason to show any loyalty to him, have come out of the woodwork seemingly to tear this dude apart. And it's not that long ago from the Cardinals. People don't change that quickly. I don't think he left the Cardinals being like this jolly fun guy and then went over as a tyrant on the Padres.
No.
And I imagine that this is more what led to his firing in the St. Louis Cardinals organization, some version of this.
Well, it seems very likely that they had some type of end of season meeting to discuss, like, why did we put this pitcher in this place? Why did we move this way here? And he just, in some version or another, to paraphrase for Mike Shildt, told him to fuck off. And it sounds like he would talk this way to everybody from the bat boy to John Mozeliak or whoever is around him. And he seemed like he had one way. It was Shilt's way or, the highway. And what is funny is I'm looking at it right now. He's got a .561 career winning percentage. So he's demanding.
Yeah.
He's mean, but he was successful too. And I hate to there is in the corporate world or wherever, I guess there's there's this asshole genius or what, like this person who knows more or is very good at their job, and therefore they believe they can act like an asshole to everyone else. I believe those people are morons, but they exist, and I wonder if Shildt is guilty of that. If he just has a thin skin, where is the seed of all this? Because he does not present this way publicly, although you can see there's a little bit of fire there, and we've seen some. Remember when Rosarena posted that locker room?
But the video,
yeah. So obviously there's some fire, but it's very strange. Yeah,
I would say, Hambone, look at the teams that he was given when he became a manager. I'm pretty sure anyone could manage this current version of the Padres to being a successful baseball team.
Well, except for Bob Melvin.
The Cardinals in 22 and 21, very good team. So I don't know.
And we've talked about how much does the manager? He's a people manager, right? He's setting the culture, and there's a lot of bullpenning and stuff like that involved. But he's setting the culture of the team, and I think it's fair to say this is not a good culture. Nobody wants to work in this.
No, and this is really reads to me as a "you can't fire me, I quit" sort of thing.
Yeah,
right. Because if this amount of people were upset, maybe they run it back another year just because of the success. But it seems like that's the direction it was going, considering there was some reporting now that some coaches were threatening not to come back if Shildt was still the manager. There was an internal coup happening here, and he was just like, all right, and I'm done.
What I find shocking about this whole thing is that you've been grinding your way through the minor leagues essentially your whole life. You get this golden opportunity. The St. Louis Cardinals offer you a managerial job, one of the crown jewels of the National League. It's a high-profile job that many, many, many people want, and you are behaving this way. And I assume Mozeliak and Paul Goldschmidt and other leaders in that clubhouse are giving him feedback that this is not the way to do it, and he feels either like they're wrong, he's right, that what he's doing is the only way, or he feels so emboldened to not change, ends up getting fired from that position, goes to a whole new org, very quickly works his way back into another managerial role, and does the same thing and is leaving for the same reason. Baseball's all about adjustments. How are you not making an adjustment here? How are you not taking that feedback? And is he incapable? Does he have a real anger issue? I mean, obviously, I'm speculating wildly here, but it is fascinating to me because I feel like if I was the manager of the San Diego Padres right now, who are a very exciting team with a great fan base, they have all the wind is blowing behind them right now, and there was talks of me leaving that job or making an adjustment on how I'm treating others, I think I would do everything I could to just not be that guy. But
yeah, generally speaking, though, Hambone, assholes are not very receptive to feedback.
sure.
But
when you're
and
looking your future and your legacy and championships and money, like I'm sure he's well paid. I'm sure he has brand deals.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I'm Mike Shildt. Come by Nike. Yeah, he's.
No, I think it's more like come down to Bomberito Ford. I'll be signing baseballs for 2 hours.
Yeah, we had San Diego Crab Shack. Come on by. Yeah, it is shocking. But obviously, like, it's that weird thing where his success or his personality type got him to that position twice.
Yeah.
Also, so what is exactly the adjustment?
Yeah.
That probably doesn't even need to be that big. But also, it sounds like he's created 2 giant cultures of shit. So probably a bigger adjustment is necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's out. He gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating. Maybe he'll sometimes like guys like this, they get old and they soften up.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come back and be a manager when he's 70 or something.
Yeah.
He is he's 57. It's I don't know. Maybe he'll get
He's
a
probably
job.
just retired.
I bet you he gets a job in a front office somewhere. I feel like he's going to stick around. Just maybe not in charge of personnel anymore.
Yeah. Bad boss.
Yeah.
Well, let's end this section, the Cardinal section, on some fun news, some positive news. Hambone, right before we started recording, Rawlings released the finalists for the Gold Glove in 2025. It has been sparser here for the Cardinals for a few years, but there's some fun pieces in this. The Cardinals have 2 nominations for the Gold Glove. First, we have, unsurprisingly, at shortstop in the National League, Masyn Winn.
Yeah.
He is up against Mookie Betts and Nick Allen. And then we have in center field, Victor Scott II, Victor Scott II, VS2, earning his first Gold Glove nomination in his first year in the big leagues. Pretty exciting.
Yep.
He is up against Jacob Young and Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah.
And then I just had to throw a shout out. Your boy, Revenge Tour continues. Tommy Pham nominated for a Gold Glove. You'll love to see it. May he play for another 20 years.
I hope so. I hope so. Somebody's got to fuel that gambling debt.
Yeah, and I want him to win a Gold Glove and like spike it on stage or something. Whittle it down into a shiv and stab someone else with it. But let's start with shortstop. I mean, I'm trying not to have my Cardinal colored glasses on here, but sure seems to me like Masyn Winn is the runaway favorite in this. Betts and Allen, both very good shortstops in their own right. And I mean, what the hell, Mookie Betts? Like, what an incredible athlete. Down year, obviously, offensively, but he also lost like 30% of his body weight a week before the season started. I imagine that is hard to recover from. But Masyn Winn, I don't know. Fantastic season defensively. I suspect he's going to win this.
Yeah, I think that you nominate Mookie Betts because, wow, oh my God, I can't believe that he is a full-time shortstop now. That he had the season that he had the sickness that he had, that everything worked out the way that it is, and he's still one of the best players in baseball. I bet you he bounces back next year and has a great year and maintains his quality shortstop play. I do not think he is a Gold Glove shortstop. Nick Allen is the real deal, defensive whiz. But whatever metric you look at it, and they played the same amount of games. So it's not like Masyn Winn just was out there more and accrued more. They both shockingly played 127 games at shortstop this season, which is a funny number. But Masyn Winn was better. He's rangier. Obviously, he has the arm. He was consistent. And the numbers are better. So I expect Masyn Winn to take home the hardware, and he should.
Yeah, which is exciting. Extend Masyn Winn.
Oh, yeah.
Now, on the other one, I was honestly a little surprised at first, but I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been, but I just still, with the way Victor Scott's season went and the ultimate lack of fanfare around it in general, made me kind of forget about him as a candidate for this award, which does speak to some of the inherent flaws of this award in the first place. It is often viewed as a popularity contest, and you have to hit well enough to get a Gold Glove, which is annoying.
I feel like we're getting away from that. I mean, the Nick Allen even being on in the conversation, the guy didn't even hit a home run this year. I think we're moving away from that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does. I think generally speaking, the winners for a while now have at least been understandable. Like, you'll still get a random one where a guy is like, clearly the voting didn't look at outs above average or prioritize DRS or what, the defensive metrics are still a little shaky. But rarely are we getting like just a bad defender winning. I'm sure there's some examples. Tweet at Ben on a platform that neither of us use.
Well, I think it was if Brendan Donovan winning the utility award and his defensive metrics were not great, but we don't need to talk about that. It's
that
fine.
One's a good. We like that one though.
That's a good one.
That one. But it's fun to see Victor Scott in on this. And how do you feel about his actual chances? Pete Crow Armstrong and Jacob Young.
Yeah, I think Victor Scott is one of the best defensive outfielders in baseball. I think that he is going to continue to get better. And from like a pure speed and skill standpoint, wouldn't be surprised if he wins one next year, the year after, maybe many years to come. Unfortunately for him, I think that Pete Crow Armstrong is probably the best defensive outfielder in baseball. He's also popular. He also hits doinks. He's got a lot of things helping his candidacy, but I really do think he is, if not the best, top 2 or 3. I'm trying to think of who is even better than him. He's got the eye test. He's got the speed. He's flashy. He's got a good arm. But I think it's PCA, and it'll probably be PCAs until somebody knocks him off the pedestal. But I love VS too, and maybe next year. But PCA this year all day.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe they should just give it to 3 center fielders rather than giving it to a left fielder and a right fielder, because I'm not sure that totally makes sense, because obviously like Victor Scott is better than Tommy Pham, but it's okay. I don't feel that. I'm not strong on that belief.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think ultimately it makes the most sense to do by the actual position, just for consistency's sake. But there's arguably different skills at right field versus left field versus center field and things like that. But ultimately, like, the 30 best outfielders are all the center fielders, and then after that is the next 30 best outfielders.
And I'd like to be. It's kind of not even close.
Yeah,
it's the center fielders, and then it's like,
and then the fourth outfielders.
Yeah,
it's all the center fielders. Then it's all the fourth outfielders who are backing up center field when the primary's out, and then it's the right fielders and left fielders filling in after that.
So, and I'm just clicking around on Fangraphs right now. I have a fun way to represent that. So Victor Scott played 130 games in center field this year. He accrued 8.6 defensive WAR according to Fangraphs. And that's all fine and dandy. Lars Nootbaar, wrong name. Corbin Carroll played 135 games in right field this year. We think of him as a very solid defender, right? He accrued 1.6 defensive WAR.
He's nominated as for the right field Gold Glove.
Victor Scott played 4 games in left field this year and is the 6th most valuable defender and left field. That's how bad left fielders are. So
yeah, I wonder if they did like there's 5 Gold Gloves for outfielders, and if there is someone that is truly like, that their center fielder is Victor Scott, and so they'll never play center, but they're an elite right fielder or something. But also these defensive metrics value the higher end positions,
of course,
as well. So it's easier to accrue WAR at center field than it is at right field,
right,
and left and whatnot.
The number one, and left field is just a desert as far as defensive players. The number one accruer of defensive WAR, according to Fangraphs, at left field was Eli White for the Atlanta Braves this year, and he played 27 games in left field.
Nice.
So, anyways, maybe
funny.
I think I maybe now feel more strongly as they should just give it to the best center fielders, and everybody else can, try next year.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's fun, two young guys on the team, maybe cornerstones of the team. At least one is, hopefully we'll see how Victor Scott's career grows. But either way, it's fun. And I feel pretty certain we're going to get at least one win out of the batch, which will be a nice little, token of success from the 2025 season for the St. Louis Cardinals. All right. Well, we're going to talk about the playoffs as they are now, a little bit of league news, and play a game. But before we do that, we want to remind everybody that this show is, of course, listener supported by listeners just like you on patreon.com. Patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Thank you to all of the patrons. The Bird score, despite the Cardinals being out of the playoffs and having very little real news, has been quite active. It's been a lot of fun. We've been watching the playoff games together. It's been a really good place to have direct interaction with other baseball fans and other Cardinal fans. And if you're interested in joining, you get access to this by simply subscribing to our Patreon. Again, it's patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. We also appreciate anyone and everyone that takes the moment to leave us a podcast review on your favorite platform. That helps us. It really does. And telling your friends and family, of course. Hambone, where can people find us otherwise online?
Yeah, we're on all the social medias. You can find us at Blue Sky. We are on Instagram and TikTok. You can listen to the show on Spotify if you prefer that. You can watch this show on YouTube. Yes.
Wow.
You can watch it on YouTube if you'd like to do that.
We're doing it.
You can find all the podcast information, including our T-shirts, the YouTubes, the Spotifys, all that stuff at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
848-48-BIRDS. All right, Hambone, we are in the championship series. Some fun stuff happening. Some not surprising things, too. Let's start in the AL. This, to me, is one of the most fun outcomes from the ALCS in a long time because we have the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays going against each other. Not saying it's like small market representation. Seattle and Toronto are both, bigger markets in their own right. But I don't know. Maybe this
Aaron
has been
Judge who?
when was the last time we've had an ALCS with two teams like this? Not a Red Sox, not a Yankee,
I think
not an Astro.
Yeah, the fact that you have Mariners, Blue Jays, and Brewers. The Dodgers are there too. But this is great. This is why baseball is so much fun. And we like to complain. You call it the random championship generator. But this is the good part about it, is that there is parity. Yeah. We see new faces. We see people like Cal Raleigh put their name on the map. People are losing their mind over Trey Savage. Savage? Yeah. Yes, Savage? Yeah, Savage.
Yes, Savage.
Yes, Savage.
Yes, Savage, I think.
The fact that we even know who that guy is, that other people are talking about him is great. So yes, I love it. And I mean, that final game in between the Mariners and the Tigers is an all-timer. I watched the whole thing, Nate. It was, I couldn't believe it. It was great.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I came in somewhere around like the 6th inning. So I still saw, over a full game's baseball. It, of course, went into the 15th inning, and that was one that several of us in the Bird Squad were watching together and sort of, live chatting as it was happening. And yeah, instant classic. I am a big fan of the Mariners, so of course I was happy about that. But my pick for the AL World Series from season beginning, preseason, was the Tigers, and that's obviously done now. They could not.
No.
Come on. They could not get it done.
Well, they had bases loaded in like the 11th, and somehow they did not catch
so
that in.
many scoring opportunities, dude.
What was funny is I found myself, I was rooting for the Mariners because I want the Mariners to make it to their first World Series and, all that. But I did not want it to happen to Jack Flaherty, and I really felt my Cardinals caller. I was like, no, not Jack. Please don't let this happen to Jack.
Not my boy. What you've done to my boy.
And Jack was wild. I don't know. So you said you watched this part of the game. I mean, he's talking to himself. He is amping himself up. He is throwing sliders in the dirt. Like, that was the most animated Jack Flaherty I've ever
Yeah.
seen, and I was obviously happy for him to come through. But then, obviously, the Mariners win it in the end, and then somehow they take that momentum and just stomp out the Blue Jays in the first two games of the series. They're up 2-0 on the Blue Jays, who
Dude.
the way that we talked about Vladdy last week, the way that he was hitting, I was like, you know, him alone, just how hot he is. Good luck, Mariners. But
Yeah.
they've quieted him down.
After that Mariners Tigers game and how the Blue Jays did leading up to this series, if you asked me how the Mariners Blue Jays series is going to go, I would have said Blue Jays in 4.
I think the odds were like 60 or 70% in favor of the Blue Jays coming into game 1.
And there's still a lot of baseball to play, but opening up a series 2-0, obviously math is in their favor. They can still turn around, absolutely. But it's looking rough for the Blue Jays.
I will say what is not in their favor. Obviously, the Mariners have done extremely well, but you would think that using all those pitchers and the tiredness, it all kind of adds up. And the Jays, while I think their pitching is much worse, they are more healthy and rested. And I think we got Scherzer going either is that tonight or tomorrow. And weirdly, the Jays' fate is going to be on the shoulders of a 41-year-old lunatic. So we'll see if he can perform and keep Raleigh and the team down. But it's I did not expect it to go this way at all. I think nobody did.
Right. It's fun. And we both like the Mariners a lot. And pitching wins championships, and they've got it. Wu is back. And how about was it Bastardo or Brezo? What's the guy?
Bizzardo. Edward Bizzardo.
Pitched all 5 games
crazy
out as a reliever in that series, and was key in those late innings. Pitched like 3 innings or whatever, 12, like 11, 12, and 13 or something.
Mariners
like that.
Should give him a bonus or something for that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, just incredible. Over on the other side, a little more boring, a little more disappointing. The Dodgers are up 2-0 on the Brewers. Not loving rooting for the Brewers, but given the options, of course, we're rooting for the Brewers, and we are certainly happy that they eliminated the Cubs. I will always choose the Brewers over the Cubs. So fly the L, Cubs. But the Dodgers, I don't think we need a rant about them again, Hambone. We did last week when we talked about the playoffs, but they're doing their thing. They're up 2-0 on the Brewers. It's a tough team to beat, and the Brewers are good, but there's just not a team in the NL that stacks up against the Dodgers in a short series like this. They're the favorites coming into the season, the favorites coming into the playoffs, and here we are. I hope the Brewers make it interesting.
Yeah, I hope they make it interesting, and I think it just, what great pitching can do. When Blake Snell is throwing the ball well, he might be the best pitcher, maybe second best pitcher in baseball. He's top 3 pitcher in baseball when he is healthy.
He's won 2 Cy Youngs. Everyone, like, Snell is a secret, like, if he can stay healthy and rip off, like, this is a potential Hall of Fame pitcher. He's been buried by injury and being on the Rays and things like that. But he's good.
It just, and watching him, like, he can just, it's not very many. Maybe Tarek Skubal is the only other one I can really think of in the game right now, but they could just seemingly throw their changeup anywhere and people are swinging at it like maniacs. They not even close. And then Yoshinobu Yamamoto having the game that he had last night against the Brewers, where he went in all 9. And I was watching that game, and when Churio hit that homer, was that in the first inning, I believe, Oppo Taco off Yoshinobu, I was like, let's go, baby. Like, it's time for the Brewers to wake up. If anyone's going to do it, it's Jackson Churio, their little superstar. But they look absolutely overmatched.
Yeah. Well, how about, though, I think the most interesting thing from this series so far was Bryce Terang up, bases loaded. He dodges what would be a hit-by-pitch, game-tying
heartbreaker
run
from Roki Sasaki. And he does what every normal human would do in that situation, what they've been trained to do. Yep.
Unless you're like an Anthony Rizzo or some of these other guys that just like
Wilson Contreras.
that just sort of like, "Ooh, you hit me in my elbow, owie." They like, "Oop, let me just dip that in there real quick." But the vast majority of players have been bred from childbirth to dodge the fast thing coming at you.
Yeah.
And he does it, and you can just see it in his eyes. I mean, he looked at the dugout and just like, and then makes an out, game over.
Yeah.
And that's rough.
Yeah.
I'm sure no one like. You got to feel for the guy. Like, he did what a human would do. But man, if there was ever a time to sort of get me a little slow on the dodge,
Yeah, I think
it.
you're talking about like they've been trained. I don't even think they've been trained. I think it's just a basic human instinct.
That's what
It's
like,
just what you do.
Yeah, there's a very fast, hard thing curling at you. Get out of the way. It's the other guys who've trained themselves to not get out of the way.
And if I remember, like the ball would have hit him in like the knee or the shin, it would have hurt, but they would have won the game. Or they would have tied the game.
They would tied. But
and who knows what happens after that?
Yeah.
And Sasaki was wild too. I thought he might just throw something by Will Smith and they might score on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one of those weird little just human moments in the midst of all of that, you got to feel for him. I'm sure everyone understood.
The players should be robots too, Nate. They should get robot umps and robot players.
I mean, I guess that's just MLB The Show.
One other play I think we have to talk about from that series was
I know what you're gonna say.
Most insane play I think I have ever seen in my entire life. Can you remind me who the batter was? I'm forgetting it now.
Was it Contreras? No, Contreras went to third.
It was Muncy. So Max Muncy smacks a ball. I think it's going out. The Brewers center fielder goes back and possibly robs it of a home run, maybe robs it of a home run. The ball bounces out of his glove, bounces off the wall, which is then he catches it after that. But since it hit the wall, it's not a catch. Everybody's confused of what's going on, but if you look, the umpire and the outfielder calls it safe, but all the base runners, the bases are loaded. Sorry, I should have added that detail. The bases are loaded. They all run back because they think it's a catch because he did catch it, but it was off the wall. They couldn't tell. The center fielder then throws it to the cutoff man. The cutoff man throws it home, and they throw Teoscar Hernandez out at home base all the way from center field. And then William Contreras, because it was a hit, there is now a force out at third. William Contreras walks the ball from home base to third base, ending the inning and ending the Dodgers' threat. And I don't know if I've ever been more confused watching it in real time, how it all worked out, the fact that the Brewers had the awareness of what was going on to make the play. Just absolutely one of the most exciting wild plays I've ever seen in baseball. It was, and the fact that it came in this, the first game of the CS and everything was even more exciting.
Super high stakes. When you add in the high stakes element of it, it makes it one of the most ridiculous plays. It's a really good rewatch. The broadcast is as confused as everyone else, but they figure it out in real time and are exactly right with what happened. And then the umpires get together and they call it exactly right. So it's a good story from an officiating standpoint too. And it's a good story from like the Brewers' awareness of what happened. Cause it's just a force out at home.
Yeah.
It's a ball off the wall that results in a force out at home and a force out at third.
Yeah.
It's confusing to explain. It's confusing to understand, but if you watch it, they really break it down. And
I'm sure John Boy will have a good review of this here soon. But
and I think it was Durbin, the third baseman, seemed to be the guy who really clocked the whole thing because he's yelling at Contreras, "Come touch third, come touch third." And so Contreras just trots because I'm assuming he doesn't fully understand, like hasn't yet fully clocked because he tried to make the tag at home.
Right.
So he thought it was I don't know. It was all very confusing.
Yeah.
But Durbin was yelling for him to come touch third. So he trots down and touches third. Umpire there calls him out. And then it's like a minute and a half long replay.
Yeah. I think I read it was the first 8-6-2 double play in the history of the playoffs.
Because what is that?
Wild.
8-6-2 double play.
Yeah.
Incredible.
One other thing I want to note before we move on is that Mary has really noted how small the Brewers are watching these games. Just a bunch of short kings.
They are a bunch of short kings. Who's their manager? Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
He said in a conference, one of the pre-series conference, he said, I don't know how many of my guys would make their team, but I think we're ready for a fight or something like that. Just openly saying, which I think is funny, is meant as a joke.
I mean,
but it's also kind of true.
It's hard to really say anything else when it's Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, Hall of Famers over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is anyone on the Brewers roster going to the Hall of Fame? Maybe Churio.
Churio would be the only one on track, and only because he's 21 and has had back-to-back 2020 season. He's got that young star growth, but who knows?
He is 19 years away, or conservatively 12 years away from being able to really even weigh in on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's run quickly through some other league news. Hambone, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Alex Bregman, who had an amazing season with the Red Sox, has announced that he's going to opt out of his deal, meaning that he will be a free agent going into next year, which just adds another big name to the big pile of free agents for next year. My prediction, Nate, is he signs back with the Red Sox, longer term deal. They keep it going. They like him. Yeah. He likes them. He hit well there. It all makes sense.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun to start to see some of these shoes start to drop about what the offseason is going to look like. But I think his is probably pretty obvious. I'd be surprised if they don't try to bring him back.
He just seems like a Red Sox. It just fits there. And, Astros have Correa playing third base now. I think it just makes sense. I'd bet $1 on that. It was reported by Hector Gomez on Twitter earlier this week that Emmanuel Clase will never pitch in MLB again following his gambling scandal. And it looks like he is not even being allowed to play in the Dominican Winter League. So, we've been speculating on this. I was pretty sure this is how it's going to happen. But Hector Gomez reporting that it is likely the nail in the coffin at this point. And the same for Luis L. Ortiz. Although obviously a less exciting name to talk about, but kind of wild, Nate.
Yeah. I mean, this is the rule, this is the one. We have a lifetime ban on sports betting, and I guess they thought they could get away with it because it was such an obscure way of going about it.
Just do steroids.
Yeah.
You can make a ton of money and only get banned for a little bit.
Yeah. Come back, get a massive but Clase is already on pace. Yeah. Like Ortiz, I'm not justifying anything, but between the two of them, you understand maybe Ortiz. Clase is another year or two away from a at least 8-figure deal.
Yeah.
If not more, with just how big contracts are and his Hall of Fame pace he was on in his own right. Certainly 9 figures of career earnings. Who knows what his next contract would be. And instead, he's probably still a pretty wealthy man from his few years in the league, but he done. Whoops.
Just ultimate bag fumble.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that he had a PED suspension in his career.
Clase did?
Yeah, he got suspended from
both.
He got suspended from the entire 2020 season because of PEDs. I forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
I guess if he were, either way, he was going to get banned. If you're going to gamble or take,
he's trying to get the bag even faster. I guess he just couldn't wait.
Huh? Maybe he's just stupid. All right. Well, okay. And then this one I just thought was funny. There's not a lot of league news going on right now. Obviously, with the playoffs, everybody's focused on that. But the Mets reported on Wednesday that they have promoted Jeff Albert, remember him, to run their hitting program org-wide, putting him in charge of what they hope can be one of the league's top offenses. The team still intends to hire at least one hitting coach to serve under Albert. So I just thought it was kind of funny in the news of the Mike Shildt of it all. Jeff Albert getting promoted. Obviously, Jeff Albert left the Cardinals when Mike Shildt was at the helm. It just a little more light is shed on this entire situation. Maybe it wasn't us that scared Jeff Albert away, and maybe it was more of the psychosis that is Mike Shildt.
No, Hambone, we got him.
We got him. That's right.
Yep.
And he's somehow failing upwards still, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Jeff Albert.
All right, that's all I got, Nady.
All right, Hambone, let's wrap this up. I was doing my daily routine. I get up, brush my teeth, have coffee, kids stuff, sit down at my computer and Google ballpark food. This, of course, is my daily routine. And a fun one popped up for me, Hambone.
Right.
So we're going to play another edition of League Choose. All right. So the article outlines the fun new food varieties that the Brewers are offering at their home stadium during the playoffs.
Okay.
So I'm going to read you.
These are playoff specials. Wow, that's exciting.
These are playoff specials. I'm going to read you a food item. You tell me, is it a real one or is it one that I made up?
I assume they're all just going to be various bricks of cheese, right? That's all these people
They're
eat.
they're mostly bricks of cheese.
Yeah, okay. Brie.
Damn it. You got it. Game over. All right. Battle Box 2-foot nachos. A bed of tortilla chips split half Milwaukee style, which is beer cheese and Johnsonville brat crumbles, and half opponent style.
Opponent style. How would you make LA flavored nachos? I guess they like the street dogs. Maybe you go with like a Mexican.
Yeah.
Nachos are already vaguely Mexican. What is called
Vaguely.
the Battle Box?
Battle Box 2-foot nachos.
2-foot nachos. God. I think that there's a lot of you couldn't set your menu until the thing. So I kind of feel like that just the getting that done is so logistically difficult that I think you're making it up.
No, Hambone, that one
Wow.
is real. You can get this 2-foot nachos at American City, American Life.
Who gives
ballpark.
a shit?
All right.
So are they gonna if they make the World Series against the Blue Jays, is it gonna be like poutine nachos and
I would imagine so, something like that.
Huh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the article didn't say what opponent style really is.
it's a bag of trash?
All right. Bernie's brew battered brat bites.
That is alliteration right there. That is good.
Mini beer battered bratwurst nuggets served with spicy mustard aioli, and cheese curds on the side.
Damn, that sounds good. I want it to be true, so I'm gonna say that that's true.
No, Hambone, that one is fake.
Damn, I would eat the shit out of that.
I know. Some of these, I made myself hungry. All right. Jay Leinenkugel's Barrel Yard RBI beef sandwich.
Who the hell?
Thinly sliced roast beef rib on a toasted French roll with provolone cheese, giardiniera, horsey aioli, and beef jus.
Leinenkugel. I think Leinenkugels are made in Milwaukee. They like their beer up there. I love a French dip. I think it's too detailed for you to have made that up, so I'm going to say that's real.
That one is real. That's your first one on the board. But yeah, that sounds good. I love a dip as well.
Yep.
A dip. All right. Lakefront loaded tater boat. A hollowed baked potato boat filled with beer cheese, smoked pulled pork, scallions, and crispy fried onions.
I mean, it sounds good, but doesn't sound like something that they would make at a ballpark, but maybe their food is just next level there. I will say, I wonder what the price is that. I'm going to say that sounds too labor intensive. I'm going to say no, they don't make that.
You got one. That one's fake. I would like a loaded tater boat,
Sure.
though, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Murph's Pocket Pancakes. Both of Murph's Pocket Pancake options, Ball 4 Pocket Pack and Double Chicken and Pancakes, will be available.
Who's Murph?
Murph's Pocket Pancakes.
Who is Murph? I think you would. I just don't think you would name. This is purely me just game theorying this. I just don't think you would do that. So I'm going to say that's real.
It is real. I mean, it's Pat Murphy, I assume.
Oh, I get. Huh, okay.
And he's got some pocket pancakes. It's real. This must be a bit within, I'm thinking like Bader Tots, was a thing.
Sure. Pocket pancakes. But Murph doesn't. Okay. Yeah. I don't care enough. Cool.
Murph's Pocket Pancakes. All right. A totally tipsy Polish. It's a giant, a giant 1.5-foot Johnsonville Polish sausage, topped with beer onions, brown mustard, pickled peppers, Bavarian sprinkles, and French fries.
Bavarian sprinkles? Is that like you're talking like putting sugar on all this?
Bavarian sprinkles.
Would you make that up? Would they eat that? I mean, they are sickos up there. I wouldn't be surprised if they ate this. With Bavarian sprinkles on all that, does that sound good? I'm gonna say it's real.
It is real. I don't know what Bavarians. I was trying to Google it and said, "What are Bavarians? What are Bavarian sprinkles?" It's not a standard type of sprinkle, but rather a name given to a specific cream flavor.
Huh. All right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think it's another northern thing. All right.
Sick bastards.
Cream City Crunch Wrap. A flour tortilla stuffed with Butterburger beef, fried cheese curd crumbles, and secret stadium sauce, grilled until golden.
Oh my God. They're gonna die. I don't know. That sounds like it could be real. I'll say real.
No, Hambone, I made up that one. The Cream City Crunch Wrap. I think they should. I think that one needs to be on the menu.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So this is
I mean, I would eat them all. I just feel like people are going to die.
Yeah, well, the ones that you said that the most about are the ones that were real.
Yeah.
So,
God.
But that's it, Hambone. You got 4 of my 7 right. You had a good little run there in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just a real slop fest going up in Milwaukee right now, which I have nothing but respect for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hopefully,
but
no, that's being served with melted cheese, just as a drink.
And a Leinenkugel.
It's just a cup. Yeah, a Leinenkugel just swirled with melted cheddar, probably.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's America's heartland, Hambone. You wouldn't get it.
Okay.
You wouldn't get it. Read a book. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode, Hambone. We'll kind of be back next week with another episode. Keep your eyes on the feed for something. And Hambone, good luck on your travels. I can't wait to get your jellied eel report. I'll be out as well. We'll talk about it all next in 2 weeks. And I guess we'll be able to talk about the World Series will be in. Well, I mean, depending on how it goes, it could be done or in full swing by the time we get back. So hopefully everyone has a good time watching that. Again, check out the Patreon and everything at talkingaboutbirds.com. And until next week, let's say go either the Mariners or the Blue Jays. No, I'm correcting myself. The podcast is supporting the Blue Jays. That is another Bird team. So let's say, go Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays.